Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Troy from Cichlid Bros. Today's video is a very special one. It's something that's been in the works for a long time and I just can't wait to share it with you. I finally got my dream tank. If you've been following along on the channel, I've dropped plenty of hints over the last few months on getting this larger tank, but it's finally set up down in my basement and I can't wait to show you. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's dive right in. Okay guys, so just a quick background here. I just moved into a new house in the suburbs. I had been living in Chicago apartments for the past 8 to 10 years, so I didn't have a ton of space, and I always had to be concerned with the size of aquariums in those apartments. Now that I have a basement with a lot of space, I could finally get the tank that I have been planning for so long.
And I love it when a plan comes together.
So I ordered this tank and stand from fishtankdirect.com. It was set to be delivered, and the other two Cichlid bros, my brothers Quinn and Alec, came over for the delivery so they can help unbox this, bring it down to the basement, and get it all set up. So I ordered the largest tank that could squeeze down my basement door, which ended up being a 180-gallon tank. And since this is my dream tank and all, I splurged a bit and went with acrylic.
3 words for you. Treat yourself.
Well, well, well. Look who it is.
Well, well, well.
Well, well, well.
We forgot his shirt.
The grand opening. Sweet stand.
So this acrylic aquarium was definitely not cheap, but as I mentioned, I was splurging a bit considering this was the biggest tank I could fit into my basement. It's 6 feet long by 2 feet deep and 2 feet tall. The stand is a little bit taller. I had to take measurements of my doorways to get down to the basement, making sure that both the tank and the stand could fit down, and as you'll see, it was a very tight fit. This stand is black, which will match the 75-gallon aquarium that's going to go pretty close to it.
We're fine. We can put it down right now. We got 3 steps to go. I think we might need to somehow turn it to fit on this last step though. Okay, we're good. Sliding it down. We're good. Harry, we're there.
We're there.
And then up, tilt, and up. No big deal. Back in first. You look good to me. Thank you. Just watch this doorknob and come through. 1, 2, 3, tilt.
A benefit to acrylic was definitely the weight. Being lighter than glass, it made squeezing the tank down the stairs a little more possible. I'll give Alec props here for carrying the majority of the weight down the stairs.
There we go. I'm fine. I got it.
Let's
Got it. Throw it to me.
How was that, guys?
That was brutal. Hey, let's get it off the side.
So my current tanks held the South American cichlids that were going to go into this tank. I had kept them over the past year and a half knowing that they needed a bigger tank down the line, so it was perfect timing to get this tank. It was also the first time many of my cichlids growing out met my larger crew. More on that in a bit. So we needed to drain the tanks a bit in order to move them, and to get this 180 gallon in place, which is front and center of my den in the basement. The 75 gallon is going just around the corner. Since I'll be moving these fish out, I'll be restocking both the 38 and the 75 gallon tanks, and I already have plans for that. There's so much going on here, and I just love it. So here are some of the products that I'm going to be using on the 180 gallon tank. I got an FX6 canister that's going to be paired with a Penplax canister that's been running on the 75 gallon tank, so it's ready to go. Also 2 fluval heaters. And then I also have some plants from EliteCichlids.com. Highly recommend them. These plants look great. I'm going to show them some more in the tank later. And then also we went with some Sunset Gold sand. I love this sand because it looks very much like their natural environment. So a lot of prep work went into this in the week leading up to the tank delivery. I had some big pieces of driftwood that were soaking and getting some of the tannins out, as well as getting waterlogged. And then I had to rinse out all these bags of sand. There was 170 pounds of sand used in this tank, and each of these buckets were thoroughly rinsed so that the water would be as clear as possible. 4 buckets of sand later, and it was time to set up the FX6.
Alright, so we got a coarse sponge, dense sponge on the bottom. We got another sponge on the tray number 2, followed by seeded biomedia. And then lastly,
Rinse out some ceramic rings to put in the final one.
quick rinse. These are not seeded, so it's okay to rinse with tap water. Straight out of the bag, just wanted to wipe off any loose particles. You can see Quinn's a big help here. Didn't even remember his Cichlid Bros shirt. 20 hours later. Installing the FX6.
Alright guys, so the FX6 is installed under the tank, as well as the Penplax canister filter from the 75 gallon aquarium. This is fully cycled, been running for over a year, so this will also help jumpstart that cycle of the new tank. It's definitely a good idea to install the canisters before you put the tank up against the wall, as you might not have much room to work with. So that's what we did here, and now we have the tank going into place right around the corner from the 75 gallon. So with the 180 in place right next to the 75 around the corner, I'm also going to have the TV on the other side so that when I'm sitting on my couch, I can stare right at the tank or watch TV for maximum viewing, and I just can't wait. So this is the 75 gallon tank as it sits now. It only has the rasboras and a couple catfish as a temporary holding tank. I'm going to have some new plans coming soon with this tank, so stay tuned for that. But now it's time to wipe down the 180, make sure we're getting all the fingerprints and smudges off. It looks like the acrylic tank made it down to the basement with no scratches, so that's great news. So now for the fun part, the Aquascape.
Yeah, baby!
So I wanted a couple big pieces of driftwood on each end of the tank, as well as kind of an area in the middle where driftwood would kind of be mixed with rocks and plants. I drew some inspiration from a great account on Instagram, MBL Aquatics, and I kind of tried to emulate his big South American cichlid tank, and overall it was just really fun aquascaping this tank. So with all of that sand added, it was now time to add the plants from Elite Cichlids. These plants look great, they're so realistic looking, and they have a little platform that they're attached to so that you can really plant them and they're secure. A lot of my Geophagus or even my Severums are going to try and pull these out of the sand, but I think that they'll stay very firm in there. I heard of Elite Cichlids through a couple of our favorite YouTubers, Adam C. and Ben Ochart, who have African cichlids who tear up plants. And I have a similar issue with my Severums, so it worked perfect. And finally, it was time to add water. Now it's time to start moving the cichlids over. Remember, I'm using a canister filter that had been running with these guys for over a year, as well as I put some seeded media from the 38 gallon into the new FX6. And then lastly, I added some sea chem stability just in case to make sure that this tank is fully cycled for all these guys. We are adding the South American cichlids from my 75 gallon aquarium and from the 38 gallon aquarium where I had some other cichlids growing out for a while. So the tank's still a little bit cloudy right now. We'll show the clear tank and the full setup in just a bit. The only non-cichlid in this aquarium is going to be my bala shark here. This is Bruce.
Hello, my name is Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
It's just a personal favorite of mine and I just had to keep him. This is my red shoulder Severum. I can't wait for this guy to grow and really start popping in color. But here are some of the plants from Elite Cichlids. Just look how awesome they look when they're in the water. The first one was their fern, and the second one is their tall Amazon sword. It looks so real. And then this is a little treehouse, and then on the far left is probably my favorite plant. It goes all the way to the top. It just looks great in this aquarium. So the tank's a little cloudy still. Let's come back tomorrow and we'll show you the final cleared up product. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'd also like to give a big thank you to both my brothers. I could not have got this tank down to my basement and set up without their help, so thanks again guys. I hope you like the aquarium setup. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comment section below, and we'll see you next week.